Alright guys, put that over there for a minute. Now I just checked all these connectors, and I'll tell you what, I did a long video here. I didn't even, well, you know how I am, I just get carried away, I don't pay attention to it. For me, when I put this connector on here the other day, or this one, I'm sorry, this connector, alright, yeah, come on, right here. When I put this connector on the other day, it's a PL259 connector with a 176 reducer. I never had so many problems putting on a PL259 connector before in my life. My very first one, I never had as many problems. For something that should normally take me, and used to take me, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes to do, took me over 40 minutes to put this connector on. Not the barrel, but the connector. One of these. Now, one is, there's a few different ways of doing it. And there is. There's one way where, well, you know what, let me put this together here real quick so it's like I had it before. Let me put it up there. I know I got a piece of scrap around here someplace, so hold on a minute, guys. Piece of scrap. Okay, here's a piece of scrap coax. And somewhere around here I am missing a wire cutter. Okay. And let me get a reducer. I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm not going to actually do them because it will take too much time. But quickly, basically, one way is you strip back the casing, you get the casing out of the way. You get the casing out of the way. There. So you have your shield, and you have your center. You have the insulator between the two, and that's kind of it. So now there's a few different ways you can actually do this as well. You can, if you wanted to, open up a little opening in the shield down here near the bottom. Just open it up a little bit. Well, not a little bit, but quite a bit actually. This needle is not doing the trick for me here because it's got all kinds of bends in it, so it's going to give me nothing but a hard time. But for instance, we open this up, then we can bend this and feed it through and pull the white out from the shield. You got my point so far? Pull that out and then you'd have your shield still intact. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is you just take it and you just unravel it. Just keep kicking it until it opens up. You're just kind of unraveling the shield. And that's the way I'm going to do it now, just to give you an idea. Then you're going to take it, and now you have your shield. Now, one way, and then we have our center. So let's get this out of the way as well. Okay. So there's our center. So one way of doing it, and it works. There's nothing wrong with this. Now, if you're going to do it and have it outside exposed all the time, I've done it, and it still lasts. I mean, I've done this, and there's years ago, and they're still out there. But what you can do is you kind of fold this back over the casing. Then you take your reducer and you just force it over all that, all the way down, so that the shield is jammed between the reducer and the case. So this would just be pushed down in there like so until I get it down enough so that I'm getting the part out to where originated from. Alright, something like that. Now this, you can trim it prior to or after, it doesn't make a difference, or just leave it there, that's up to you. And then you have this. So this is going to go through the center of that. This screws into this. So now when this screws into this, you're grounded. So that's one way of doing it. And it works. Now again, you want to tin this before you solder it in. And I always take a little piece of the casing and cut off just like a little sliver of it, so I can slide it over a little bit here to help separate anything from one another. But that's just me. And at that point, that's one way. Now the other way is just the opposite. While the shield is still up, and you've already unraveled it, but it's still upright. Now I'm going to throw it in from the bottom. Maybe I won't see it. Yeah, I can. You would put the reducer on, and then you would bring the shield down over the reducer. And you'd have to have it trimmed so that the threads aren't getting in the way. Then again, you would center this thing, screw it on, screw it down. Then, once that's done, now I can't do this because these are defective. But once I was to put this in, this is trimmed down so that the threads are visible. I don't want to cut it off completely. I want to leave that. Or I want to twist it around it. The threads have to be visible so I can screw it in here without anything getting in the way. But once it's done and it's screwed in, then this shield, you'll see part of it through the holes. These holes here. There's a hole on each side. Now some of them have smaller holes, some of them have bigger holes, some has one hole, regardless of what it is. And you want to see as much shield as possible because you're going to solder that. So once that's up in there, you're going to solder it. Now, let me do this real quick and I can give you kind of an idea what I'm talking about. Let me get that white off there, that center insulator off. I don't know if this is going to go up enough or not, only because this reducer is defective. This PL259 is defective. And it's not going to thread in here, no. Alright, but okay, so if I was to be able to push this in with the reducer all the way up, let me get this out of the way. See how you can see the shield up there? Well, the shield will be between the PL259 and the reducer instead of the reducer and the casing, and then you would solder that. And the more of the shield you see to solder, the better off it is. And you're going to solder it so that it sticks to that little inner lip of the PL259. This here is a thread, so you don't want to solder anything next to that thread because you got to screw your sleeve up onto that. So that's another way. Another way is to take this, which is a little bit tougher at times, wrap it up, and when you feed this in through, bring this down, when you feed this in, you want to take the shield out through there. Instead of trying to tack it into, take it out of. So now the center will be in through the center with the reducer in place. Again, I can't put the reducer in there because the reducer doesn't fit. These are defective threads. Alright, so that'll be coming out. The reducer would be up in there and threaded in. So you'd see the reducer in there. And then you can take this, wrap it around, and solder it to the case. So that's another way of doing it. So there's three ways you can actually do it. I find that no matter which one I do, it all works. I don't have any issues with it. The only thing you have to worry about is, and again, it's not a big deal, because you shouldn't be pulling at it anyway, but if you have the shield under the reducer, the only thing that's actually holding this together is the solder in the tip, where if you have it on the outside and solder it, you'd have two holding points. It makes it a little bit stronger if you were to pull on it. However, it's not a big deal. You know, you're not going to be swinging off these things. I say if it's going to be an outside fixture, you may want to do the solder part. If it's not, just do it like this. If it's in a car or in a house, just run the shield underneath it like this instead of like this. Well, anyway, the problem I was having was I was going to show you guys how to do it the way I just did it with pulling the shield through. Well, everything was working fine until I found out that these PL259 connectors are defective. They have a fine thread in there, which is not standard. See, these things are all standardized. That's a fine thread. There isn't a reducer to fit that. So I'm trying to throw this in here because I've never, ever had a bunch or a batch of bad PL259 connectors. You know, I had crappy ones where I don't like the insulator, you know, the white insulator. I like the whites. I don't care for the brown ones. But I've never had a so-called bad PL259 connector. Just kind of crappy. But these are actually bad. The standard thread reducer will not thread into it. And that's the problem I was having. I'm saying, Jesus, that does not feel right. That is not right. It's too tight. That's not right. If I post a video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll post it. It's a long video. I hate doing that to you guys, but you know, you guys don't have to watch it. And that's what was happening. So then I look at it after I get out of there. I said, that does not look right. And I'm looking. I said, it's not right. All right, that does not fit in there. That's it. Now, if I take a regular, let me put the casing back on this so I don't lose the casing, even though they're no good. It's a habit I got into. If I take a regular PL259 connector, you know, it's one that's good, and I go to screw this reducer in, it goes right in. That's the way it's supposed to do it. That's always been. I've never, in my over 50 years, 60 years of dealing with these things, never had a bad threaded PL259 connector. All right, they're all standard. These are not standard. The whole batch of them is fine threaded. And I don't believe for a minute that the guy that was selling these on, I think it was eBay, I gotta look actually, didn't know that. Alright. I'm gonna look it up because I'm gonna get a hold of the guy. And let him know that he's just downright wrong. You know, he was a man of no integrity at that point. But meanwhile, that's what took so long. So then I said, well, you know what? I've got all these here. Maybe I can just rethread them. You know, so I pulled out the taps and I said, okay, I'm going to start rethreading them. And it's working. However, the problem being is because of the holes that they have in these, and these being like a light aluminum, as you're trying to thread it, the unit breaks. So you can't, it doesn't take the force that you need to thread it, to retap it. And it's not a lot. And that's what happens. Now I successfully got one threaded, so I was going to say, okay, let me use it. Well, I bought the reducers off this guy too. It was 10 PL259 connectors, or was it 20? 20, 20, 20. 20 PL259 connectors, 20 reducers for 20 bucks. Now that's a fair price, to be honest with you. But it's not a great price, it's a fair price. So I said, all right, I'm going to order them. Well, guess what? The reducers are longer. So not only is the PL259 connector misthreaded, because it's a fine thread when it's not supposed to be, all of them that is, the reducers are too long. Now, it's not that they're too long by much. I can put it on the sander and I can bring it down to where I need it. So that's not a big deal. But this is a big deal. So now I'm trying to get the reducers in and they're not going in. Even on the good ones, because they're too long. So it was a nightmare. Come on, I don't want to answer you. All right. So that's what made it take so damn long trying to get it done, because everything was a problem. You know, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding that more and more as time goes by, with people just don't care if they rip you off or not, and thinking, well, it's not a lot of money, so they're not going to bother me. You know, the same thing with what the hell's that noise? You know, the same thing with that little 1-inch square camera that I bought. Yeah, it took months to get my $13 back. Yeah, because I know what they were thinking. You know what, if we sell a few thousand of them or whatever, you know, and only 50 of them complain, we still made money, you know. And if we bother the ones that are complaining and hold them up, you know, we can just sit here and pay my people, meaning in China, you know, 3 cents an hour or whatever it is, to sit there and type back, you know, send this over and over and over again, you know, and that's all they do, to a point to where some of them say, it isn't worth it, you know, and that's what happens. So I got a hold of PayPal finally, and they took care of it, and not, like, maybe a week ago, I finally got my $13 back. Now, did I care? No, but it was the principle. I'm tired of getting junk and getting taken advantage of and just settling for it. You know, we became a nation of, okay, all right. You know, instead of saying, you sold it to me, it's supposed to work, I want it to work, or I want my money back. Okay? That's all there is to it. So I want to find out who owns these, who I bought these from. Am I going to get anything back? Probably not. But I want them to know. And then I'm going to put a big old 0 on their little scorecard there, you know, and let them know why. You know, buyer beware at this point. So now, if he wants to replace them, that's fine. But other than that, that's where we're at with those. So I've got those that I can't use. So I got to order more. Now, a friend of mine was over here today, Ray. Now, Ray was in the Navy. He's retired from the Navy. Then he went to work for the phone company as a electrician, because he was also an electrician in the Navy. He's one of the guys that was doing all that underwater cabling, running cable across the seas, underwater, and all that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes there were places where they didn't even know where they were, because some of it was like, you know, top secret cabling and stuff like that. So, but anyway, I told him I'm having a problem with something as simple as this, and I'm having a problem with it. You know, he says, you're kidding. I said, no, I can't. For some reason, it's a 2-wire hookup, and I can't figure it out. I mean, this is stupid. So he says, well, if you have one, give me one, and I'll see what I can do. I'll take a look at it. I said, okay. So I gave it to him Wednesday at the meeting, because he's also with the squad. And he called me up this morning and said he's got to figure it out. Well, once he came here with it and showed me how he hooked it up, I said, now, do I feel stupid or what? I mean, really, it is the simplest thing. I've done it 1,000 times before, but for some reason, I just couldn't get to it. I just couldn't figure it out. So now that I have it figured out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it all down. Well, now that he figured it out, I'm going to write everything down, and I'm going to put it with each one, because I don't use these enough to where I think I'm going to remember. And if I have another brain fart at this point, I'll probably not remember it. So that's what it is. All right? And it was simple. It really was. It was something that I've done, and I'm not just saying that because now it's done, but it's something that I've done over and over again, and for some reason I just could not figure it out. But now that it was figured out and he showed it to me, I was, oh God, you know. But anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm going to get some wires and wire this so that it'll be wired for me to use. And I'm going to label it, and I'm going to mark, I'm going to put a diagram and put it in the drawer, because I have a half a dozen of these. And at that point, that's it. I got another one out. I said, they can't all be bad. You know, I mean, this is crazy. You know, they did come from China. However, you know, not everything from China is bad. Just some of the people. All right. Let me do what I got to do. I'll be right back.